Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make a little repair to my DJI Mini 3. I broke the mini arm pivot, so on a crash landing, well, it was landed on my hand and jumped off. So there we are. Anyway, so it cracked, so I thought, well, let's have a go, see if I can do it without actually having to take the whole body apart. So first of all, I undid the two screws either side of the arm. I think they were Torx, I think the T5, I'll check that later. They're a bit of a fiddle, easy enough to undo, and there was a little bit of editing going on. But anyway, so I managed to, and they're only a fiddle because they were so small and fiddly to get out. Anyway, I undid that. Then I had a look, a bit of an examination to try and see what actually was going on. And I could see that once you undo those, you get to pull the actual pivot body out of the arm. I tried initially with the small pair of tweezers, but it's in there quite snugly. So what I did in the end, as you'll see in a moment, is I used a pair of long nose pliers. I mean, the only issue is obviously because there's a couple of wires going through feeding the props, you have to be very careful. So I'm not actually, although it might look like it, I'm not actually putting any pressure on the arm whatsoever. I'm sort of rotating it a little bit just to sort of get it into the position that I needed to get access to the broken pivot. So I tweaked away at it a little bit, just ease it slowly, and eventually it did come out, as you can see. Not too. Once you got it moving, I sort of moved it around a little bit with a pair of pliers, just gently, and then out it came. So there it is. You can see that should be a bit of sort of triangular plastic piece which holds into the body of the drone. I got a replacement on Amazon, as most people do. I mean, I'm sure you can find them other places and then probably get genuine parts. This was a reasonably cheap part, but I couldn't see from the diagrams. I think they were just genetic diagrams. I couldn't really see what the difference were in all the ones I looked at. So eventually I decided on this one, and it's actually one of the cheapest ones. So I thought, well, let's give it a go just to have a look. So anyway, so that's what it's supposed to look like, with three screws holding it into the body, or three little bolts, I suppose. So now we have to access these. Being very careful, obviously, as I said before, not to cause any stress on or strain on the wires that go into the arms. So what I did was I just sort of, they undo reasonably easily once you can get the bit in there, and I think it was the same bit, if I remember rightly, when I did it. So you just got to get it at the right angle. I'm trying, as I say, carefully. I think I dropped it inside the body there. It didn't go far. It was easy enough to pick out. Trying very carefully not to put any undue pressure on the cables. So what I did then was I sort of just persuaded it to go from one side to the other, just to access each of the three screws. So this whole procedure was reasonably simple. It's just sort of trying to be gentle, and I'm not built for being gentle really, but I'm used to doing a few little jobs like this, so it's not too bad. Get a magnetic bit is my advice, and there we are. Once you flip it over the other way, the third one is reasonably easy to access. There isn't any strain on it. I know it looks like I'm being sort of slightly cavalier, but I can assure you there's no strain on that, or very minimal strain on it. on that arm on the cabling. All I'm trying to do here is remove the three little bolts and just remove that case, the triangular pivot stand, I suppose, or housing, or bracket, whatever it is. Anyway, that's what I was removing, trying to remove. And then the next job, obviously, just comparing them to make sure they were the same or look very similar. So the next job was to try and get it all back together. Now, obviously, if I had slid it straight back into the arm, I wouldn't have been able to do the screws up. So I had to just slowly or carefully position it, making sure that it was in the right orientation. And once I got it seated nicely, I simply just started replacing the three tiny screws. Be very careful. I put a little mat down, and I have got a little magnetic mat as well that sort of they do to keep them on if necessary. It's quite a handy little thing to have. So I was just easing them in, not over tightening them, just putting them in loosely to start with, just to make sure I could do it, because I was slightly concerned about the amount of flex there would actually be in the cable to try and lift the edge of the arm over the pivot. So obviously I've never done this before, so it was all a new experience. But I was hoping I could just orientate the arm enough to slip it over and snugly back onto the pivot. But in this position now, I've put the one in, and I'm about to put the second one in as well. From this position, my magnetic screwdriver wasn't quite as magnetic as I'd liked. Well, the screws are very tiny. My fingers aren't built for playing the piano, I'm afraid, so so the third one, I just moved it round a little bit, moved the arm around a little bit, just to get it in position. I decided it was just a little bit of trial and error, really. I decided to come from above by just moving the arm down out of the way very slightly. It's a little bit of a fiddle. Just take your time, and you'll get there in the end. Just be patient. I should have had a little banner saying sometime later, because it was a bit of a fiddle, and you got to remember I'm actually doing this sort of upside down, so I have the camera, so I can't see exactly what I'm doing 100%, just so I can show you how to do it. Not that it's that difficult, but it would have been slightly easier if I had it tilted towards myself as I was doing it, which I'm sure you can do. So I'm just snugging them up now, making sure they're tight enough. As I say, that's why I can't actually see what I'm doing. I'm doing it a little bit blind. I'm just getting the third one there, just getting them nice and snug, not over tightening. I don't want to strip the threads. So now it was just a case of working out whether my theory could be put into practice, and I could actually get it on, and yes, once I moved it around a little bit, I found it went on reasonably okay. There was a little bit of a panic at one stage, but I wasn't sure whether I'd have enough flex in the cable and with the way I did it, but it popped in. So then it was just simply replacing the first two screws I took out. Just retrieving them from my holder. I think I was having trouble trying to get it onto the actual tweezers there, but we got it there eventually, and then I dropped it again. They're so small, as I said, I'm not my fingers aren't like a surgeon's. They're a bit they're a bit big for that. Anyway, we managed it. I mean, this is all real, apart from a couple of little cuts where I was just dropping the screws continuously. I just needed to remagnetise my screwdriver bit, and life would have been a lot simpler. But unfortunately, life isn't like that. And I was in a hurry. So I was in the middle of filming something, and when I had the accident, so as you might have seen in one of my videos. But there we are, just snug it home. And then it was just a little test to see if it actually felt right. Well, I was quite happy with it anyway. It felt as it should do. I was a little bit concerned because I was looking for the original parts, and I needed it next day, so it was all a bit of a rush job. So I thought, well, I'll just get one next day delivery, a cheap one next day delivery, see if it's alright. If I wasn't happy with it, obviously I wouldn't have put it up in the air, because they're expensive things and you don't really want them to go wrong. So there we are. I hope that helps someone. That's how I did it anyway. If you've got any better ways of doing it, or different ways of doing it, just put it in the comments. But other than that, just give it a go. It's not that difficult. Happy flying. Take care. Bye bye.